see if he can keep the money flowing in and keep the organization going to really stay in the race that way.
Yeah, money critical at this point. Dana, thank you very much. Joe Johns is standing by at Congressman Ron Paul headquarters, and they just keep trucking right along.
Yeah, Anderson, the band played on, very loud band here right now. Ron Paul is long gone, so how did he do? Fourth in a four-person race is not good by election standards, but by Ron Paul's standards, he says he finished with 4 or 5 times more volunteers, more votes than he did 4 years ago when he ran for president. So, in his view, that's pretty good. How can he say that? Well, number one, he views this as much as a movement, not just an election, if you will. Ron Paul, I talked to him earlier, just before CNN went on TV with the projection saying Newt Gingrich would win. I wanted to gauge, if you will, his opinions of Newt Gingrich. So just listen to this soundbite, and I'll talk to you on the other side. Some people are saying that if Newt Gingrich wins tonight, the people at the White House will be very happy and satisfied. What's your view on that? Do you think a win for Newt Gingrich is bad for the Republican Party?
Well, I don't know whether I should I don't know whether I'm going to let you put those words right into my mouth, but I think he's going to have a difficult time. No kidding. But I think any Republican would have a difficult time. That's why I was offering my services, because I think that, and I think there's been some polls out. I don't know exactly which company did it, but there was a poll out that said that Paul against Obama does pretty darn well, essentially in a tie. It did as well as Romney has done. So I would say that the other Republicans cannot appeal to civil libertarians and to those Democratic base who are sick and tired of Obama's with his foreign policy. And of course, the Republicans ought to have a strong appeal to me, because I'm really the only fiscal conservative offering to cut the budget by $1 trillion.
So clearly, he is still campaigning there. Ron Paul obviously showing no signs of wanting to get out of the race, telling me that he's going to start looking at states that award their delegates to the GOP National Convention by percentage, also going to states that have caucuses where he can use an organization to try to get more delegates, because he says that is the name of the game. Ron Paul showing absolutely no signs of getting out. The other thing I'm hearing from him is that he plans to buy television ads in states where there are, for example, caucuses, and not so much in states where there are primaries, such as Florida. So not buying ads in primaries, still going there for debates, mainly focusing on caucus states and states where he thinks he can pick up a percentage of delegates. Anderson?
Joe, thanks very much. Ron Paul obviously still got a lot of organization, a lot of enthusiasm on the ground. Undecided voters in Florida watching, listening closely tonight to what was happening in South Carolina. Did they make up their minds? Did what they heard tonight change their opinion? You're going to hear from them next. Welcome back to the special HC360 primary edition. Let's take a look at how voters in Florida are leaning 10 days before their own primaries. In particular, how tonight might have made a difference in their opinions. We got a group of undecided voters. Our Tom Foreman has been hanging out with undecided Republican voters, watching very closely all the candidates. We've been running their real-time reactions with dial testing under the screen as the candidates have spoken. Let's talk about first their reaction to Ron Paul, Tom.
Yeah, you know, Anderson, we're here at the University of North Florida, which has been very kind to keep us all here tonight for what has been a fascinating evening with all of these voters, which, as you told us earlier, you all came in undecided. We'll put the hands up again. Look at all the people who now think they're somewhat decided. And I will tell you, Anderson, it's a little squishy, because some of them, if you push it, will say, well, maybe not so much. But Ron Paul seemed to hit a certain note with this audience here. By and large, when you looked at the dial testing when he went by, people were pretty even here. But there was one area where he seemed to do pretty well. Watch the lines and listen.
Well, the evidence has become clear that the efforts by government is failing, and we can't depend on the government to take care of us from cradle to grave. We can't depend on the government on its efforts to promote and believe that we can police the world and go into nation building, because we're all gone broke.
That whole theme there of saying over and over again, we can't depend on the government. It's making us broke. It's got to be about something beyond that. That has a real resonance with this crowd here, I think. Let me talk to this gentleman over here because I think that you had some thoughts on that matter. What do you think when you hear someone like Ron Paul say, look, this can't be about the government solving everything?
Well, I think the current government now is on a course of incentive killing. And we need to create to where it's pretty much to reward people that work hard for a living and get rid of the red tape, and for the entrepreneurs out there that really need to go to work and stop the incentive killing.
That's been the message from Ron Paul in many ways from the beginning. Are there any Ron Paul supporters here? We have some maybes here, maybe. What do you like about Ron Paul?
I like that Ron Paul, he's attacking the institution. He's attacking what's wrong with the nation, that's been wrong with the nations for years past, just not Obama, what Obama has been doing in the last 8 years, but he even goes back further than that and says these are things that have been wrong, and he's been fighting them for 30 years, as he said tonight.
But let me ask you one question about this as a group here, because I have a suspicion about this. How many of you here think Ron Paul, in all fairness, could ever become the President of the United States? Yeah? A couple? Maybe? That, Anderson, seems to be one of the key problems that has been plaguing certainly Mr. Paul from the beginning, Dr. Paul from the beginning, because time and again as we've talked to these groups, people here have talked about electability, the notion that they want to win the White House, and if it means picking somebody who can win, even if ideologically it doesn't fit exactly, they will do that to make sure they win the White House. That seems to be one of the real goals here, and that's one of the things that certainly Mr. Paul has to fight against.
What about reaction to Santorum?
Yeah, it's interesting. The reaction to Rick Santorum was similar to the reaction that we had to Ron Paul, in that there was a lot of flatlining going on here, even when he said things that should have got a bigger rise. This was one of his best responses. Look at what happens here.
This race and this campaign was not going to be about tearing everybody down. It's not going to be about negative ads. It was not going to be about anything other than painting a bold vision for our country, one that believed in the working class values that my grandfather taught to me.
You were speaking a little while ago about the desire to hear more talk, like Rick Santorum has brought to the race here. You believe he's the guy that you'd like to support here. But you're talking about social issues largely, right? Values issues.
Yes, I am. I think values play a big part in an election. I mean, I go to church every Sunday and every Wednesday, and a lot of my friends, we'd like to see more morals come back to the United States.
But do you think somebody who's running on a platform of moral issues in this economy can win? Or do you think that most people are going to say it's an economic vote this time?
I think a lot of people will say he could win here in the South. I don't know about the North, but I know here in the South we have very deep religious values, and I think he could win. I really liked him. I think he's young, too.
Who thinks he can't win? No? You think Rick Santorum can win?
No, I don't think he can win. I agree. He's got great core values. He's probably got some good ideas, but he doesn't have the popularity, whether he has the money, whether he has the support behind him.
I think it's a big difference, yeah. So, Anderson, that's what we've been hearing a lot of, as I said earlier, this question of whether or not somebody can win. As we've gone through our dial testing here with Southern Methodist University, by the way, did all the technology tonight, and they do a great job with it. You can see it time and again. There are messages that resonate with the voters here, but then when you ask, will that message and will that candidate win? What they're constantly looking for is the combination of a message that wins in their hearts and a candidate who can win at the polls. That's clearly what people are looking for here, and they're trying to sort it out. Newt Gingrich clearly made some ground tonight in convincing people that maybe he's that guy, although there are a lot of people here who are still looking at Romney very closely.
Tom, thanks very much. That, of course, is where our debate is going to be on Thursday night in Florida. It's going to be a fascinating debate starting, of course, at 8 o'clock Eastern Time.